Okay, we're going to have a quick talk on what IFC is. Some of you may have already heard of the term. It stands for Industry Foundation Classes. And as I talk about ADAC, there's just a quick description of what that is as well that fits into it. Up until now, we've got several disciplines working on a project, and there's a few of them listed there. But each one actually has their own viewpoint of the world as they're working. And if we go through some of those, the civil engineer typically is interested in the alignments, pavement types, perhaps ground levels, and he's modelling the surface around the site. Then we have other people that occasionally come into contact with, depending on the type of project. Structural engineers concerned with walls, beams, columns, architect with space, texture, functionality, mechanical engineer with thermal properties and so forth, electrical engineer with cable routing, and the facilities manager. Now, each of these people looks at the job a different way and is concerned with different types of information. So generally they have their own software and it works differently, and underlying it, the structure of it is not the same. So when we talk about exchanging with other programs, we have to keep that in mind. Sometimes the structure that comes from another software is not completely suitable for what you're trying to do. There's another guy sitting on top of all this, and that's just what I call the Spatial Systems Manager, or SIS, some people. They like the term spatial because it apparently describes what they're trying to do, and that's to store data about geometry and things like that. And he's responsible for storing the data, and he also looks at everything in a different way to the way everybody else. Now, up until now, the DXF file has proved to be the way people do most of their transfer, and it's looking at the world from the CAD viewpoint only, so it's considered with the presentation of drawings. It misses out on a lot of information that could be stored in there, and we've got more people coming on now that want to store and retrieve that information. It has grown over time, but again, that growth is still being built around the CAD presentation, not really about real-world modelling. In southeast Queensland, there is a system in place, or it's being trialled by some councils or actually running in others, called ADAC, and its viewpoint is from the local government, facilities management. So they also have their limited view of the world. They don't store alignment geometry and things like that, and so therefore it's not the be-all end-all, I don't think, for everybody. But they are very good at storing information like services, that sort of thing. So you'll dial before you dig, all those kind of things will probably end up in this kind of structure. Just to have a look at the people that are involved in ADAC in southeast Queensland, there's a few of them listed there. There's a website also that you can jump on and find out about it. And there's something I stole from the website, which is basically the structure. You can see most of the structure is down the bottom of the line there. And that's all the spatial information guy's viewpoint. And up the top, the smaller boxes are you guys sitting there who will have to give information to him. The core of it is the XML file. Being an XML file, it can actually have a descriptive structure, which means that will tell a computer how to read and write the data, but doesn't really tell the computer what to do with it. And so therefore you need a piece of software somewhere to actually manage that data. I've got a bit of a description here of what's in this kind of data, and at the top here we've got an ADAC project, and under the project is the project data. The project itself can store a whole heap of information, such as the extents of the project, those kinds of things, and someone has to enter all that information. So you guys will probably be doing it, or somebody along the line. Underneath, there are a number of sub-viewpoints, the series viewpoint, the transport, and so forth. So each of these people are seeing the world a slightly different way, and they've tried to capture various information further down. Right down, if I have a look at the fittings, it'll also capture things like chamber sizes, all that sort of stuff. Again, it's information someone has to enter into a computer, so you need a nice piece of software somewhere that will help you to do that. It could be a limited viewpoint because it's mainly aimed at the services and that sort of thing. So you really need something. There is no be-all end-all, I don't think, to cover everything. WIP 12DO is going to attack this problem and attack the ADAC and make it more easy to use for people. So they're looking at that at the moment, and we'll see where we go with all that sort of stuff. Okay, the next thing we are looking at is what to do with IFCs. These ones pop up all the time as well. Industry foundation classes are approaching the world from the buildings viewpoint. So it's the way generally the structural engineer and the architect are talking to each other. It has things like the buildings you've seen Peter pull up on his shows with meshes and that sort of thing. And there's a lot of structure in it. It's written from an academic point of view, so therefore it's a fairly comprehensive specification, but it is still missing things like your alignment data, spirals and all those sorts of things. So over time maybe they'll get put into it. But it is still useful from your civil engineering viewpoint because you can get buildings out of an IFC and look at them in your project, and vice versa, you can take your tin and give it to the architect. That's what the aim of what 12D will probably be trying to do with the IFCs when it's going. It's not going to be the be-all end-all. Again, it's a limited viewpoint of the world, and as it grows, maybe we'll see more of what's going on. Now, a quick look at the top level structure. I'll just get it on. Too late, it should be there. It has a project, it has a site, and then it has buildings and building stories. If you look at the terminology that's used, it's all architectural terminology. It's not really the site and civil engineering type terminology. Under site, they have been looking at roads, but I'm not sure if there's any road in there yet, anything developed for that. So it's the architects that have been doing. It's built around their viewpoint of the world, not the civil engineer's viewpoint of the world. So when people ask you, give us it as an IFC, it's going to lose information when it goes into it because it's not storing your alignment details, those kinds of things. A quick demonstration of what was first done in 12D in the macro language was simply to have a look at how we can get the tin in and out of 12D. And this is using the macro language. Whoops, let's go back to there. Now, 12D macro language is a C language, which is a procedural language. So it's purely for experimentation in this. It wouldn't be the be-all, end-all. And the guys have been working in C++ to look at something that's more object-oriented in that fashion. Back in 12D, I'll open this project called IFC. And we've got the typical Bow and sewer triangulation in there. And I've actually nulled a few triangles in there. I was in a job the other day and showing someone how to null it, so I'll just ignore that. But the exporter that's been written in here, there is a reader as well, which read in some information. But I'll give it a project name, IFC Mark. And I'll write it to a file down the bottom here, save the file. And then coming to an IFC viewer, there's a number of third-party viewers. Each one works with a varying degree of efficiency. Some of them lose some of the information that comes in, such as colour and those sorts of things. I'll go and locate that file. IFC Mike. And there's our sewer, our tin as an IFC surface. So it's been converted across in there. Now there's more work to go into that. It actually needs to be coded a bit better in a C+ language, that kind of thing.